boys screws loose, they done stripped the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for them. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't
all right.
Crush, they was all gone.
Greetings, Shuttlings. It is now Thursday morning. It's about 1 a.m. Getting it right into the Celtics Kings matchup. Celtics defeat the Kings 144 to 119 on night 2 of a back-to-back. No Al, no Tatum, no problem. I am your host, as always, Dugouts, and with me is Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing a lot better than I was about 24 hours ago, I'll tell you that much. Great to not have to wait too long to get right back out there, and a much-needed palate cleanser for all of Celtics and Chuddy Nation.
Yes, absolutely. This was just what we needed to wipe that disgusting taste of last night out. Me and you were down pretty bad to start the podcast last night. It's nice to start this one on a more positive note. Before we get into the breakdown of the game, we're going to take care of we're going to pay a few bills here. First of all, make sure you're following the page on Twitter at Chuddy's Corner. Make sure you're following me at Doug_outs. Make sure you're following Chuddy at King Chuddy. And also a special thanks to our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. You can find all Nick Perino Real Estate and all Chuddy's Corner details at nickperino.com. And last but not least, make sure that however you're listening to this podcast right now, before you hit play, you also hit subscribe. It's a big help for us, as many subscribers we can get. The podcast is growing, and we want to keep that progress going. So, now that stuff is out of the way, we'll get into the game. Again, 144-119 win for the Celtics over the Kings. The Kings were 10-3 at home going into this. This was a pretty big win. I think in the first quarter, you totally saw how electric that arena was. It was an absolute shootout to start that first quarter. But after that, the Celtics kind of took control of the whole game. Big nights out of big nights out of everyone, really. We had 5 players with 20 or more points. First time that's happened since 1987. So, yeah, it was just a great game. I will pass it over to you to give us the recap of how the game played out. What do you got for us, Chuddy? What'd you like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, pretty much liked everything tonight. Like you said, the Kings, a very good team, especially at home, and a very fast-paced, up-tempo team. So, coming off the back-to-back and coming off really the demoralizing loss, it was just like, what Celtics team is going to show up tonight? Are we going to come ready to play, or are we going to just be flat, look hungover from last night? First, 5-6 minutes of the game, wasn't too sure. Started off very slowly. The Kings got up 23-11 very early. Things weren't looking great. Sabonis was bullying us inside. Fox was burying threes left and right. He was picking Drew's pocket left and right too.
It was like they scouted that back move.
It was a lackadaisical start. Had me a little concerned. Joe called a very good timeout, but then the play that kind of like swung the whole game almost in the first quarter, again, it was 23-11 Kings, and Fox just had picked Drew's pocket for the second time. He was racing back for a layup. It would have made it 25-11. Porzingis, welcome back, by the way. I think we missed him. Comes in, huge swat, pushes it up the court on the other end to Derrick, who left it for a Jaylen dunk. So again, it was going to be 25-11 instead. It's 23-13. We got another stop. Derrick hit a 3. Another stop. Another Jaylen dunk. It's 23-18. They're calling timeout. Out of the timeout, we hit Pritchard comes in, hits a 3. So next thing we know, we're up 24-23. So we were down 12 to up 1 within like 2 minutes. Again, the way this game started, it looked like, this is a scheduled loss, back-to-back. We're still feeling it from last night. And then it was like, before you could blink, we had already changed the game. So, again, they were up 12, and then we went up to win by whatever you said. So, after that, honestly, first 5 or so minutes, we basically won the rest of the game by 40 points. The first quarter, like you said, was an absolute battle, 41-38. We tied the NBA record for combined threes made by two teams in any quarter with 19. It was really the Derrick White first year and Fox show. Fox showed every part of his game. He had 17 points in the first quarter. White had 16 of his own. I think Fox had 6 threes or 5, and White had 4. After that first quarter, I was saying, maybe I'm going to look like an idiot for saying 18 threes is too many for Derrick White to shoot. I'm thinking this guy should shoot every damn time down the court.
It was a much different 18 threes, though.
Yeah, no, of course. But that was just an absolute blur back and forth. You kind of, like you said, that arena was going crazy. You saw everything that's kind of fun about this Kings team. And then in the second quarter, and really it was when De'Aaron Fox finally rested, it seemed like the Kings slowed down a little bit. They weren't finding buckets as much. The Celtics also picked up their defense and kept their offense at that same pace, held them to 25 in that quarter. Played a really solid all-around quarter, solid all-around half for the Celtics. I was pretty pleased to go in with, I think it was a 6 or an 8-point lead at the break after that slow start. Felt very good. We had 72 points, which is obviously a ton. And again, only giving up 25 in that second quarter after 41 in the first was pretty impressive. And then that third quarter, probably the best quarter we've played all year for my money. Again, with no Tatum. We came out there, started off the quarter on a 32-12 run. I think we won the quarter 39-24. Honestly, it felt like more. The Kings were kind of just hitting some threes at the end. We were going back and forth. But the way we started that quarter, absolutely incredible. It started off with Porzingis making that free throw line jumper, which was kind of a theme of that quarter, landing on Sabonis's foot. Another second night in a row, we have a scary left ankle roll with Porzingis. He walked away. Again, we'll see how those ankle sprains are the next day, but he stayed in the game, made it. So it was the very rare and one on a jump shot and one of a flagrant foul. So you actually get 2 free throws to make one. He obviously made the first, and we got possession. They went right back to that play, a little foul line jumper for Porzingis. He was getting hurt or switched on him, but he's just shooting over anyone from there. It didn't matter. He gets fouled, makes 2 more, so it ended up being a 5-point possession for Porzingis, and that it was just like off to the races after that. It was Porzingis hitting shots in that mid-range all quarter long. He hit a 3. He was hitting it down low. Jaylen,
they could not stop him at all in the paint.
They could not stop him. Maybe the best quarter Porzingis.
That was credit to you. That was one of your keys to the game too.
Yeah, and it was like they finally realized, oh yeah, we can go to this guy every single time. But Porzingis in that quarter had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks just in the third quarter. Absolutely nuts. And the craziest part is Brown and White basically matched him with amazing quarters of their own. Brown had 15 points in the quarter. Derrick White had only 7 points, but he had 6 assists just in that third quarter. The 3 of those guys, they all stayed in for the entire quarter. None of them came out, and you could just tell Joe, like, he could smell blood, and he left those guys in to go for the jugular. And, I mean, that was the game. They blew him out of the water. So many highlight reel plays. I mean, Jaylen had the 3 dunks in the first quarter. He had that absolute monster to right over Trey Lyles, another absolutely massive graveyard dunk for Jaylen Brown. Shout out our boy Coley Mick from UMass had a great tweet about that dunk. He said, thank God they forced him left. I thought that was pretty funny, seeing Jaylen blow right by to the left. Monster dunk, but he had it all going. I mean, Jaylen was left and right. His full package was on display from for his layups. He was dunking. He had his mid-range going. He hit a ridiculous fadeaway and one. And then it was like, even when things slightly went wrong, they went right. Jaylen went in to try to absolutely end JaVale McGee on another. He was going for a second graveyard dunk in the quarter. JaVale came up with the block. Ball rolls out to Derrick White in the corner at the end of the shot clock, and he just throws up a moon ball from the corner. Obviously, that goes in. The Celtics could do no wrong in that third, and the defense was absolutely just as good. It seemed like they were blocking shots left. I mean, Porzingis and White were kind of having their own block party underneath. It was like they were taking turns. There's a few where you couldn't even tell which one of them blocked it. It seemed like they both got it. All of those were leading to fast breaks. It seemed like we almost like just made the Kings quit in the middle of that third quarter. They were just like, there's nothing we can do. This Celtics team is too tall for us. We can't take the ball inside.
We had Sabonis in shambles.
Looks. We did, and Sabonis, I mean, I think he finished with like 13, 10, and 8. The stat line looks decent, but I feel like all of his impact was in like the first 5 minutes of the game. He's using those bony elbows, which is like the main part of his game. He just elbows his way inside. He gets offensive rebounds. He's a good passer. I mean, a good player, obviously, but it seemed like they just realized that, Porzingis, you're, 5-6 inches taller than this guy. Like, he cannot guard you at all, and they turned it on. I think Porzingis finished with 6 blocks. Again, he was absolutely just dominant on both ends. You saw just, it's a stark reminder after last night's game just how important he is to this team on both ends. You really saw it. Again, Brown, another just incredible game for him. White, another incredible game for him. If you just had never watched basketball before and you turned into this game, you would probably think White, Brown, and Porzingis are the 3 best players in the history of Earth based on tonight. They really couldn't have played much better. None of them even had to play a single minute in the fourth quarter, thankfully. Brown, just another incredible game, stepping up with Tatum out and just being the main go-to guy on offense. Playmaking was amazing. The way he plays in transition is just, I mean, he's got to be the best in the NBA at transition with his combination of size, speed, skill, touch. again, everything. It was just all on display tonight. He was making, like I said, highlight reel play after highlight reel play, and then White just doing absolutely everything in between, and then everyone else who came in too. Pritchard, huge game for Crypto P, Pacific P,
Pacific P, I like that.
whatever we're going with. I love all the nicknames, and he was absolutely feeling it tonight. Hauser didn't have a huge game, but he had hit the biggest slump of his career. He'd missed 11 straight threes, so good to see him make a couple, got himself back going a little.
Yeah.
Keita, I thought, with more good minutes off the bench, just banging down low, doing all those things that you want to see. Even Brissett comes in, he hits a three. So you go up with the Drew. I mean, haven't even mentioned Drew. Talk about just doing all the little things the whole night. Drew with a quiet, 20, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, and, just seems like he's just fitting in, not even doing anything noticeable, but again, he's guarding Fox the whole night. Another quiet thing, we mentioned Fox absolutely exploding. 17 points in the first quarter, 26 at half, only 1 point in that third quarter on a free throw, and then they brought him back in the fourth quarter. I was actually kind of surprised because by that point, we were up by 25.
Yeah.
They brought Fox back in. He made 2 free throws. They were like, what are we doing? Took him right back out. So the Kings just had no answers. There was nothing we could do. Mike Brown, the Kings coach, calling a timeout every 2 seconds, just trying to stop a run. So for all the Joe Maz haters out there who think that Maz, why doesn't he call timeouts? That's how you stop runs, blah, blah, blah. Tell that to Mike Brown after tonight, because he basically used all 7 of his timeouts.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of an anomaly, though. I do feel like there is but it was funny that the guy had his last time out he used it the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and then he had no
at,
more. He had
8 minutes left in the third. He only had 1 timeout left. He had already used 6, and that included 2 timeouts in a 1:04 span.
I respect that though. Just
and in his defense,
he's just going to keep trying to call that timeout.
Well, it was the right move because he could tell the game was slipping away, and the timeouts didn't help. But he was right to call them and at least try because he was right. The game was slipping away. But yeah, again, the timeouts just weren't helping. Nothing he could do, and it was just off to the races. Beautiful game. Fourth quarter, more of the same. Again, 3 quarters in a row to hold that offense under 30 points in their own gym is incredible. I know the fourth quarter was a lot of garbage time, but still held them to 29. I already said 25 in the second and 24 in the third. So to hold that team for 24 straight minutes to hold them to 49 points for that team in that gym is pretty ridiculous defense, especially after how incredible they looked in the first quarter, where they scored 41 points in the first quarter and then only 49 over the next 2 quarters. That's nuts against one of the best offenses in the league, completely shutting down De'Aaron Fox in the second half. Truly one of the best guards in the entire NBA at this point.
Yeah, he was looking like he was heading towards a kind of career night. It was his birthday too, so he had a little extra motivation there.
I think Drew Carter mentioned at one point in the first quarter he's on pace to set the NBA 3-point record. And I don't think he had another one the entire game after he said that. So
well played, Drew.
Just amazing all-around effort. And again, to do it without Jason Tatum, without your best player, on the second night where, like you said, for right or wrong, people are panicking. But I think it's a stark reminder that, it's the NBA regular season. One game is one game. So as much as last night was just one regular season game, tonight is just one regular season game too. Might not felt that way. And again, it's good to bounce right back like that. But for everyone who said the sky was falling, I don't think they're saying the same thing last night. And again, just comforting because we talked about how last season, again, the Celtics started off 20-5. I think at this point they were 21-5 when we went. And last year it felt like we were unstoppable, juggernaut, 21-5. Everything's going well. We went out west at Golden State. Golden State and Curry kind of ripped our heart out and was like, no. And then that kind of sent us into a little bit of a tailspin. Again, we went on a bit of a skid. So I was kind of scared after last night, oh God, the same thing isn't happening. So if tonight is any indication, that does not seem to be the case. So again, we'll sleep much better tonight after this performance and wiping that bad taste in our mouth against, again, despite all the Warriors' history and bugaboo this year at least, the Kings objectively a better team than the Warriors. So really good win, shorthanded, second night of a back-to-back, all that. Hard to be much more pleased.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to get way higher on this win than I got low on the loss last night. I know you just said they're both regular season games, but fuck that. This game was awesome. This game had just about everything that you could possibly want out of a game. Again, I wouldn't say we necessarily started slow. That first quarter was just like you said. It was like everything you'd like to see and whatever. I think it's everything you'd like to see in just basketball. That was just such fun basketball. That game, I felt like I was
I like a little defense
grabbing
myself, but...
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. I was kind of reaching reaching for my imaginary inhaler after that game because this game it just had everything. we mentioned too, Derek White's hot start. So it's the fourth time in the play-by-play era. What's the play-by-play era? This is a stat. Do you know what that is? Is that like
I think
shot
it's when
clock?
they started keeping data of every play, I'm guessing, which I think was early to mid 90s, I want to say.
Okay, so it doesn't go back as far as I thought, but still, only the fourth time in the play-by-play era that a player has made 5 threes and blocked 3 shots in the first half. That's Derek White. It's actually a pretty hilarious list too. The other 3 players, it's Shane Battier, Nicholas Batum, and Mo Bamba. So it's like, it's one of those stats that's like, oh, it's really cool. And then you see the company, it's like, oh, wow, those guys, like, I mean, some decent players on there, obviously, but just kind of like, not
Who
one.
was the first guy?
Shane Battier.
Okay. So White, the only guard on the list.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So that's a pretty impressive feat for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Derek White again showed up. That guy's he's just the motor of the team. He does everything you could possibly hope for on all ends of the floor. It's really just it's a joy to be able to watch him. I think that he's got a legit case to be an all-star this year. I know at first it's kind of something that feels like a little tongue-in-cheek at first, but the way he's playing, I don't really see how, I guess I'd have to look at some of the other guards around the league, but it just seems like what he's doing is just so impressive. And
there's a lot of good guards, but
it's back to the East-West format too, right? So he'd really just be competing with like East guards.
Still a lot of good ones, but
yeah.
He probably won't get it just because his teammates are so good, but he's very deserving. I think you could make a legitimate case that he's been the Celtics MVP so far this year.
Yeah. So he looks really good. And then obviously you said the third quarter when Porzingis went down. At first, I'm glad they showed the replay when they did, because at first the way he was walking, that looked like he fucked his knee up or something like that. And so when they showed the replay and you could tell that he rolled his ankle, which isn't still great, but the fact that he stayed in the game too and gutted it out, I think that's kind of like a little bit of a testament to him, to his toughness. I hope that it doesn't end up making things worse. I feel like he wouldn't have stayed out there if he couldn't.
I don't think that works that way with ankles. I think like they were kind of saying, same thing with Tatum last night. You can play through it in the moment, and it'll swell up overnight. Maybe you'll miss some time, but I don't think that's gonna like make it worse. And again, like you said, gutted it out, but not just gutted it out. Like we said, played arguably the best 12 minutes of his season.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. And I think the fact too that Joe just kept those guys in, I love that strategy too, not being afraid of pulling the guys out. Porzingis, Jaylen, and Derek White, they just all had a monster third quarter, and from then it was just kind of like that's the third quarters where we've had those issues. So I think that's kind of like a little bit of a ballsy move for Joe to play those guys that whole time. And it paid off because they ended up keeping the lead, and they didn't have to play for the entire fourth quarter. We did see in that fourth quarter, I think this was the same lineup you mentioned yesterday that we don't really ever see, the Svi, Drew, Pritchard, Hauser, and Kata lineup.
Yeah.
That's just, they played some pretty decent ball. It's kind of interesting to see that group out there. It's interesting. It's good to see Svi get some minutes too. I don't really think that he's like a difference maker, but for some reason when he's out there, it just kind of makes me smile. He had a dunk. He had a couple of he had a big hustle play too, where he like fell into the crowd and kept the ball alive that led to a 3, which was pretty awesome to see too. But yeah, I mean, just everything that last night made me feel in one direction, this game made me feel in the other direction. I got just a great night for the Celtics, for Celtics fans. I think it was good. I love that it was on a back-to-back. This was, I think, before we said it was almost like a scheduled loss.
Yeah.
But for us to come out and make sure that we get the win at the last night, we kind of had to change the schedule on that and make sure that we got the job done. So I saw, too, Derek White, and I don't know about you, but like my Twitter's just fucked right now. It's not loading, but I saved the stat on my Twitter. I can't get in there, but it was something about Derek White. He had 58 points his last 2 games. I think that's a career high for him. And two
didn't even play the fourth
games.
quarter.
Yeah, he didn't even play the fourth quarter. So Derek White's just a fucking legend. I decided I rocked the no hat today. I'm riding with my brother here, so I think anytime Derek White is a good game. I think, and you know the story of like Solomon who like had the hair is the key to his strength. I'm wondering if with Derek White joining the tribe here with us, that might have been like a little bit of the reverse thing for him. Maybe that hair was holding him back.
Possible.
He was covering the hairline. He wasn't able to play with this. You can't play with the confidence that you need to be that kind of player if you don't have the confidence about what's going on top. So I think that once he shaved it off and just realized this is me, I'm Derek White, I'm bald, I'm beautiful, things really took off for him. So I am a huge fan of the haircut and what it's done for him. I'm going to say that's about 50% or 49%. 51% is just his work ethic. 49% though is joining the bald crew here with us. I think that's the way to go. Yeah. So anyone out there who's feeling like they're a little bit nervous about letting it go, just look at Derek White. look at me. Look at how successful we both are. You'll feel great about it afterwards. But yeah,
Certainly hard to argue with the results.
yeah, exactly. For both, yeah.
He's clearly more aerodynamic.
Yeah. But yeah, just a great game, kick-ass game. I'm hoping we'll see how things go for the with the Clippers game, about Tatum's status, about Porzingis' status. We have 2 ankles that are on the fritz right now. So, but for now, we get to just enjoy this. I think that game isn't until Saturday, right? So,
Yeah.
is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's
Saturday.
an early one, 3:30 for us, but 12:30.
12:30 where they
in LA
are, yeah.
scares me a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that could be interesting. But again, this team has just risen to the occasion when the chips are down like that. So, you know, if we have to miss one of them or both of them for one more game, it's hard not to have a little bit of confidence in the stay ready group that's been out there. So, I think as long as you have Jaylen and at least Drew out there, things look great. But obviously, Porzingis is a huge difference maker.
Derrick.
If he was out there last night for the Warriors game, I think that game
Yeah.
obviously goes way differently
I
too.
know.
So, yeah, just I mean, again, I could just go on and on about how happy I am with the win tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, awesome all around. A few just stats that are kind of funny and just show you how much.
Yeah, give us some
the game
stats because
can
all my
change.
stats are friggin' locked out here. Got to find
Well,
a
I
new
mean,
strategy.
After we talked about the nightmarish, basically just shooting the Celtics. I forget what were they, like 44 for 114 on twos last night. Tonight they were 51 of 92 from the field, 55%. The Celtics last night they were 17 for 58 on threes. Tonight they were 22 for 44. So they're 52% tonight. I jotted down they hit their 18th three tonight on only their 33rd attempt. So 25 fewer three-point attempts than last night. Just goes to show, I mean, everyone always says the old cliche, it's a make or miss league, but I mean, that really, obviously the Kings are not the best defense, but again, it just goes to show, like, we're usually a good shooting team. I don't know what the hell happens when we go to San Francisco and play those stupid Warriors, but just like night and day, the offensive performance and shooting from one night to the next. We basically won every meaningful category, out-rebounded them 50-37, beat them on the offensive glass 14-12. We had 35 assists, only 9 turnovers. And another fun stat about that, I wrote down when we got in the first quarter when we were down by double digits, we had 6 turnovers. The Kings had 0. And again, we finished the game 9-7. So after those first 5-6 minutes, we only had 3 turnovers as a team the entire rest of the game. That's crazy, no matter who you're playing against.
Yeah.
We had 48 points in the paint. And then maybe my favorite stat of the night, especially against this team, we beat them 30-6 in fast break points. Transition defense was incredible. But that's where a lot of those block shots came in. And again, we talked so much about the Kings, how fast they play, how much pace they have. So to not only match their pace, but to kind of almost run them off the floor with our pace is just amazing to see. Again, might lead to a bigger conversation that we were having last night about how the pace is just so much faster without Tatum in there. You can see how much Brown and Derrick want to run.
Here we go.
No, I mean, it's again one night, but it is. You could tell Jaylen wants to run every play. Like he just wants to get to the basket.
It's crazy how
as
fast
as
he
he
is.
can.
Yeah,
and it's great. I mean, he had one of his best games I've seen him play maybe ever, the way he played on both ends of the court, like his all-around game. And he didn't hit a three. He barely even attempted any. And it was like he didn't need to.
Yeah.
He had everything else
the Chuddy
going.
bar over.
True. Well, yeah, that's the only reason I guess he should have taken threes. But it's like you
cool.
watch him play, and it's like as soon as he gets the ball, he's past his guy. He's at the basket. And if not, I mean, his passing and playmaking has been incredible. Only 6 assists, but had a ton more that could have been. And maybe my favorite stat is he had 28, 5, 6, 0 turnovers. Just an all-around beautiful game from Brown. And again, I mean, White, just as good. You already mentioned 5 players in over 20 is just absolutely silly. And Sam pitched in with 10 of his own. So when you're getting that kind of production, and that's without Tatum, without Al, I mean, just what can you say? Just an all-around awesome performance. And again, other than really Fox going off in that first quarter, nobody on their team got going at all. And the thing is, the Kings even shot pretty well. They were 21 of 44 from 3.
Yeah.
48% on 3. That's an absurdly good shooting night.
Yeah.
And they still just were not even close to being in the game.
I think they had like 11 in the first quarter, though, so it kind of leveled out a little bit. But
yeah, super hot start. But I mean, again, to hold them 25, 24, 29, they're scoring by quarter after that 41-point outburst in the first. So it's like everything, Joe, you could tell he chirped him hard on the defense, and you could just tell the commitment was there. Every single guy, like I said, we can keep going through the list of names, but just super impressed by everyone out there. Like you already mentioned, I don't know. I totally get the I've actually advocated in the past for strategic resting, so I do love that on a back-to-back they're going to do Al one game, Kristaps the next, but it really does make you think like, oh, I would have loved to see, we talked for so long about how the offense just bogs down, and Porzingis seems like the reason he's brought in is for the offense not to bog down. Because, in that third quarter, it was just finding him and right at that foul line
he just brings such a unique...
over and over and over again, and he can play make out of there. He can get to the rim. He can pump fake and draw fouls. And if none of that works, he can just shoot basically a free throw. Exactly. It doesn't even matter.
He brings such a unique element to the offense where he can... they could all score from everywhere, but just the way that he does it is just
right.
It really does. It makes it's the straw that stirs the drink.
Right. And
I wanted to mention too, Jaylen's speed too. There was that one play where they had a breakaway and White was going, and it was almost like Jaylen got to the rim too fast.
He did,
and White
he
put it up.
Couldn't dunk it. He had to lay it back.
He had to lay it up
under
and then
the backboard.
He was even he kind of was had to hit the brakes so he didn't fly into the crowd. It's nuts, dude. That guy is so fast.
His in transition, I really don't know how you stop him. It's absolutely crazy. And the fact that he can get himself that under control to finish as well as he does too is
and I think we're ready to just put to bed the whole left hand thing too. I think that's
that's been long to bed in my mind. I mean, if you can't tell from watching the way he's been playing lately how hard he worked in the offseason after the obviously brutal series he had against Miami last year to just work on every single element of his game that needed work and to put up again. Where last year, there were times, the last few years, really, as good as the team was, it seemed like if Tatum was off the court, we were just not a great team. So to look the way we did tonight with Brown leading us, looking like a true alpha superstar on a really good team, along with those other running mates out there, again, is just beautiful to watch. And again, obviously, hopefully in the playoffs, whatever, we never actually need to play without these guys, but to see how well we can play without them and how Brown can step up, fulfill that role when called upon is just so awesome to see. And I really think he's playing the best basketball of his career on both ends right now, which is
how long until the
impressive.
Trade Jaylen trolls start to say that we should trade Tatum now too?
I'm sure it's already begun. If you look under the dark corners of Celtics Twitter, I'm sure you can find people out there.
The Diagon Alley of Celtics Twitter.
Wondering what we can get for Tatum on the open market at the moment. I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
Avoid it. Go tread in those waters at your own peril.
No, I do. I mean, I do think that it's the team, like you said, the offense has seemed to have looked a little bit better. I don't know, but it's almost like a thing where I think, Tatum's, sacrificing a little bit of his role, but also, it might be a bit of an adjustment for him because, like you said, for so long it has been the offense has gone by the way that he goes. Now the offense doesn't necessarily need him to do all this stuff to play well, so it's got to be a little bit of adjustment period for him too. It's got to almost feel like a little bit weird too because he's a guy who was first team All NBA, All-Star, rising star, and then now it's it's got to be just a tough spot for him. I don't think it's going to be.
Let's not get carried away. I mean, I don't think he's still the.
No. I'm not saying that he's not the best player. I'm saying it's got to be a little bit different for him, where it's he's got to try to find a way to get his stuff in a little bit differently than he has in the past. Where before it was just give it to him and let him take over. I still think he's the best player of the team. I don't think that we're better without him. None of that shit that again we're going to see in the darkest corners of the internet and shit. But I just think I think for a long time, everyone's thinking how is Jaylen, how are all these other guys going to react to the new offense, and maybe we just kind of overlook the fact that for Tatum, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment too. I think the answer though is like we've said, is for him to just get out and run. He's super athletic. He's super quick too. There's no reason
he can play this style.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be where he's just kind of got to get into it a little bit more. He's got a lot of great, he works on a lot of great, one-on-one ISO stuff, but I think if he can get into, that kind of transition, moving fast thing, I think that'll be the best thing for him and for the team, too.
Yep. And there's always going to be a time where we need that. There will be a time where things bog down and we need Tatum to slow it down in ISO. And a lot of times in the biggest moments and the biggest NBA games, that's just how games go. You're not going to play the pace that this game was played at in, a game 7 of a playoff series. It's just not what happens. So, it's not like we don't need that element that Tatum brings, but there are definitely some nights where it seems like, hey, maybe we don't have to slow the game down right now and dribble for 20 seconds and take pull-up threes, cut that part out of the game, play more like we did tonight. And again, I don't want to make this at all seem like we're shitting on Tatum. That's the last thing we're doing. And Tatum is an absolute Iron Man. One of the only superstars you're going to see around the league who plays as much as he does. Tonight, his first missed game of the season. But you do got to wonder if he's over there sitting there watching and being like, holy shit, this team is friggin' good. When he's not even playing and watching them play like that out there, sometimes you kind of have to be like take a step back and not maybe be involved in the game to really be able to observe and see what's going on out there. So I wonder if he will be able to learn from this because he's a very smart player, and we know that above all, he just wants to win. So I know that he's going to do whatever he thinks will best help the team to win. Again, he's amazing. He's one of the best 5 to 10 at worst players in the entire league, in the entire world. We don't want him to change, but again, if he can find ways to make him and this team even better together, I'm sure he'll do it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else on this game here?
The only a couple of funny just announcer things. I mean, Drew
Carter
continues to just be hilarious with all the Peyton Pritchard nicknames and all the stuff he's throwing out there. I also thought it was funny. I had it tallied at twice in the first 9 minutes. Scal called Sabonis Porzingis. He was just reversing their names nonstop in the first quarter, and Drew kept like subtly not correcting him, but would immediately like repeat the line with the right name right after he said it, and Scal just like wasn't picking up on it at all. He must have like mentioned something in one of the breaks because I didn't hear it anymore after that, but that was funny. And also shout out Drew Carter working the Twitter fingers in the middle of commercial breaks during the game as he's throwing likes on tweets from the official Chuddy's Corner show account mid-game. Props to Drew. At Chuddy's Corner. We love Drew Carter. At Drudel on Twitter. He's getting in there, mixing it up. He is a man of the people. He is a Chuddy head. We are big Drew Carter fans, and we love all the Peyton. You hear him again, the mining for Bitcoin.
Yeah, the mining for Bitcoin line.
Is that the correct verb? When one is acquiring Bitcoin, you're mining.
Yeah. Well,
like
yeah. I mean, I
don't
think
know.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to ask.
He said it
Pritchard.
very.
No, yeah, it is. I think like you mine Bitcoin. Like I don't really know how. It's like through a computer or whatever. But
yeah, it's the second time he said.
The longer we talk about that, the older we're gonna sound. But yeah, no, it is the right verb. I can't confirm that much. I can't tell you much more. But. Yeah, no, I think that Drew Carter's been awesome. I think him and Scal do have a pretty good rapport. I did love also, since we're talking about the announcers, I did love, too, before the game, they kind of did like a Kyle Draper, like, highlight mixtape, which is just kind of funny. It's always good. Yeah, it's good. I forgot that this is where that Draper ended up. So, it was good to see. Good to see a little bit of the Drape man out there.
I also liked hearing Draper. I don't know if you saw when they were talking to him on the court, he was saying that he brought the winning from Boston to Sacramento and taking some of the credit for them becoming a good team. Love that. We miss Drapes. Great guy. Glad he's landed in a great spot.
Yeah, good for him. I'm happy for him on that. So, yeah, it's a good night overall for the announcers. I think Abby had some great analyzing, too. We don't leave her out. Some great stuff on the courtside side of things. So.
Yeah, she had great details on the happy birthday singing to De'Aaron Fox in the locker room.
Yeah, they were, like, grilling her about that, too. They're like, so how did they sing it? Like, was he sitting down? Was he standing up?
Inside the NBA stuff. Also, you hear how many times Scal is like, so this is like a thing in the NBA.
Yeah.
Where like we'll just start sentences like, so in the NBA, this is a thing that happens.
People sing happy birthday to someone on their birthday.
Yeah. You played in the NBA. Yeah, I know. It's like give it a rest. But that was it for the announcer stuff. Then a couple coaching things. I saw Mike Brown did exactly my pet peeve with the challenges. He challenged a non-shooting foul in the first quarter. That they lost anyway. It was a terrible challenge, but just what an idiot. Awful use of the challenge there. Joe, again, did what I hate, but at least he waited till the third quarter. We were up by 22, so I'll let it slide. We won the challenge, and at that point, I think it tied into like what we said with letting White, Brown, and Porzingis all finish that quarter. I like that Joe clearly kind of changed his game plan on the fly. Like I said, he smelled blood in the water. He was like, these guys are dominating. We can go win this game right now. Let's finish the job. And that's what happened. So cool to see that happen. And I guess that challenge was part of it. So I will let it slide. And then classic sicko Joe used the second challenge that he got with 4 minutes left in the game, up by who knows how many at that point, for another just out of bounds call. Like absolute sicko. And then one thing I guess I don't love as much, but is also kind of that sicko Jonas is I'd be curious to hear why Holiday was still in the game till like 4 minutes left. There was not another starter on either team who had been in there, and like
I was kind of thinking that too.
So I was like, okay. And then they took Fox out with 8 minutes left. They're like, this game's over. Like 7-8 minutes left. Holiday played another 4 minutes, and I was like, it'd be one thing if we had no other point guards, but it's like Pritchard's in there too. Pritchard can handle the ball. You can put in any of like the Stevens, Brissett. And,
I thought that was a little bit weird too, because especially just he's such a veteran too. I don't know if that's like
all around confusing.
It was a little bit bizarre.
I don't know if he just forgot that he was in there, or like I know he didn't play that as much in the
Drew
third.
just like loves ball. I hope it's like Drew just like loves ball. I hope that Drew's not sitting like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
I doubt that's the case, but it was still an odd move, and I don't know. I think part of Celtics Nation is still scarred from a few years ago when it seemed like we'd be up 35, put the bench in, and the starters would have to come back in to close it out at the end of the game.
Yeah,
so,
maybe just like one
I don't know if
guy
some of that
there.
is lingering, but I was like, I think we can like let the.
You know what I think it might have been actually. I think that, I don't know if this is it, but I think he was pretty close to getting a triple double. I don't know if that's.
Well, he did. I think he was 20, 10, and 8. Maybe he wanted to get 20. I know he hadn't hit 20.
So he needed 2 rebounds. He had 21, 8, and 10. So he was 2 rebounds short. So it could have been something to do with that.
Perhaps. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it seems. I don't know.
It was odd.
It was definitely odd.
Maybe they just, again, thought that he missed out on kind of the party in the third quarter as he was resting on the stretch, so they wanted to let him pad some stats, make some plays in the fourth, get some extra cardio in. No clue, but again, I think we're all a little scarred. And when we have a veteran like Drew, it's like there's just no reason for him to be in there right now.
Yeah.
But all's well that ends well.
Yep. All right, cool. So, yeah, again, Celtics win 144-119. Big comeback win. Just rip through some stats real quick from the game.
The only other thing I was going to say that I meant to say at the beginning, this was the first game all season the Celtics have been underdogs. They were, I think, 3.5-point underdogs.
Yeah.
We've been favorites in every other game this entire season. And one thing from a viewing aesthetic, I just wanted to mention, the first thing that stuck out to me when the game started, not a fan of when both teams wear their dark jerseys. Kings were in black, we were in green. One team should be in white. Come on, what is this?
Yeah, interesting. Interesting observation.
That's my boomer take of the night.
All right, I like it. We'll take it. 144-119. Jaylen, 28 points. Derrick White, also 28 points. Porzingis, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 blocks. Holiday, we just mentioned, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. And Crypto P, Pacific P, Pac-12 P, 20 points in 29 minutes. And he also picked up 4 rebounds and 4 assists. So just overall, some really good stuff from the guys. We'll kick it over now to around the NBA. What do you have for us? What's going on around the league? What do you have for us? Go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously we were here last night, so not a lot has happened in the past 24 hours, but do want to mention, as we were so focused on being bummed out about our own shitty loss last night, there were some other shitty losses. I mentioned the Jaw comeback, but New Orleans blew a 24-point lead on their home court against Memphis to lose that game. Your favorite team... it's hard to keep track. Is your favorite team the Suns or the Clippers? I don't know which one you like more, but either way, the Suns blew.
No, the Clippers are coming around on a little bit because they have Tice now. They have Tice. I can't hate a Tice team the way I can hate a Suns team.
All right, fine. So the Suns blew 2 double-digit leads and lost to Portland. The Trailblazers, a pretty pathetic loss for them, but it's again, they lost that kind of pseudo-revenge game last week to Brooklyn with, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson playing the Suns again, and then they lost this one for DeAndre Ayton getting his revenge for the Nurkic trade. So, weak loss. The Suns, they're in some trouble, so I don't know. That was weird. That was last night. Then moving on to tonight in the NBA, we had Philly, probably their most impressive win of the season. We talked about how they've just been absolutely beating up on tomato cans. Well, tonight they beat the number 1 team in the West, the best defense in the league, and Joel Embiid just took it to the best defense in the league, the best defensive center, Rudy Gobert, the DPOY favorite. Embiid had 51 points, 12 rebounds, just another night at the office for him. He's been absolutely tearing it lately. Max, he put in 35 as well. Really impressive win for Philly at home. They kind of needed one. Another impressive win for another team we don't like, the Heat. Went on the road and absolutely dominated the Magic in Orlando with no Jimmy Butler. Tyler Hero led the way with 28 points, and I think he had 8 rebounds and 7 assists to go with. Looked really good, that Heat Devil Magic up to it again. Also, watch out for Orlando after those 2 pretty demoralizing losses. They've now lost 3 in a row, and altogether I think they've lost 5 out of 6 or 5 out of 7. So something to keep an eye. We might have killed the Magic. We'll see if we killed the Kings tonight as well. But
I hope it didn't kill the Kings.
I hope it didn't kill either, because I kind of like both. But either way, it happens. Sam Merrill, little-known player who was playing for the Cavs, having a little mini Linsanity run. He's been drafted in 2020. He's been bouncing around the G League, never really cracked an NBA rotation. He's gotten some opportunity due to all the Cavs injuries we've mentioned recently, and he is now set. He scored, I think, like 9 points his first game out. Then he scored 19 points. Last game was his career high. He set another career high tonight with 27 points. So can't wait to see how he tops it his next time out there. Just cool little story to follow.
We got to think of a pun or something for that. Linsanity flow. Nothing. I'm looking at Sam Merrill right now. Nothing's sticking out to me for that.
Merrily Christmas, merrily we roll along. I don't know. It's a work in progress. It's off the top, right?
Yeah, but good effort. I respect the effort, but all right, we'll work on that. We got time.
Another huge win tonight for the Bulls. They took care of business at home against the Lakers. Again, the Bulls now 7-3 in their last 10, all since LaVine went out. They just continue to nuke his trade value with every game he misses. That they look much better. Kobe White, shout out to him, a guy who was basically written off as like a bust, has now in this month he's now third in the entire NBA in 3-pointers. Just absolutely going off, averaging, I think, over 25 points a game in those 10 games since LaVine has come out, and looks like, he's playing like an all-star. So we'll see how much of this can last, but it's all kind of hilarious to watch, for how bad LaVine looked and how bad that team looked while he was playing. And then the next team we're going to play, those Clippers, another big win tonight on the road against the Mavs. They were up 22 early. The Mavs came all the way back. Luka obviously leading the push, but a lot of good players out there. But the Clippers, not to be outdone, came back. Kawhi, a huge game, 30, 10, and 5. The first time he's put up that stat line in, I think, at least 5 years. James Harden continues to look really damn good and was making clutch play after clutch play down the stretch to pull away and get a big win over a very good Mavs team. So the Clippers have now won 9 in a row. Impressive stuff. Obviously, that will be the next team we face. And then a bit of unfortunate news off the court. We mentioned in around the league a few weeks ago that Mitchell Robinson had gotten injured for the Knicks. It was going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. We saw tonight Shams reporting that the Knicks applied for a disabled player exception. So that means that Robinson will actually be out much longer than the 8 to 10 weeks. He'll be out the whole season. That's a brutal blow for the Knicks. I mean, we've talked about how much the Knicks style is kind of rim protection, defense, rebounding, kind of trying to beat you up with physicality. Well, he's their biggest and most physical player. So
my boy's going to have to step up.
He is, and he has been. He's been logging major minutes without him. But, they were assuming that if they could kind of keep things alive in the playoffs, they'd get Robinson back. Now, without him, that's tough. I mean, I don't really know what they can do at this point to pivot, but just a really tough loss, and to know that they're not going to get him back at any point, that really hurts. And he's a guy that, even with that exception, there's no replacing him. So tough blow for one of our conference rivals there. And then the last thing I wanted to discuss, circling back to, we had mentioned that the Celtics keep being brought up in trade talks, and I had mentioned that I've seen a lot of people out there, on Twitter, blogs, this, that, and the other, mention that they want the Celtics to target Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, big man for the Pistons, huge enforcer, good player, and I agree with the sentiment. He would be a great fit for the Celtics. He'd be a nice backup, big for us, although, honestly, the way Keita's been playing lately, I'm not sure we need him. But I want to address this because Bill Simmons, obviously one of the biggest NBA podcasters out there, on his podcast with Ryan Russillo last night, 2 nights ago, again, brought up Isaiah Stewart. He said he's like the perfect target for the Celtics. He's the missing piece. He's the guy we should go get. He mentioned that Isaiah Stewart's only making like $5.2 million, so he would fit into the Grant Williams TPE this year. All sounds great. If, of course, you don't really fully understand the NBA salary cap and the salaries that are in place. That is not the case. So, fans out there who are just going and looking at Spot Track, Trade Machine, whatever, looking at the payroll and just seeing, oh, Isaiah Stewart makes $5.2 million this year. We have a $6.2 million trade exception. Boom, perfect. Let's get it done. Not the case. Isaiah Stewart signed a rookie extension that will kick in next season. So that means that in his contract, there's what's referred to in the NBA as a poison pill. So that means if the team is to trade for Stewart now, he will count as $5.2 million in outgoing salary for the Pistons. But for the team that acquires him, you would take the average of this year and the years on the extension into one. So it actually would come out to being equaling $13 million. So the Celtics, to acquire him, would have to send out $13 million in salary. As we've talked about on numerous occasions, you cannot aggregate the TPE. So that means the Celtics would have to find $13 million in salary, and we're obviously up in the luxury tax already, so you can't even come close to that. You'd have to hit at least $13 million to acquire Stewart. So again, assuming we're not touching anyone in the top 6, even if you want to throw in Pritchard at $4 million, you'd need at least four more guys with Pritchard out of Hauser, Svi, O'Shea, Stevens, Cornette, Walsh. And those are literally the only other guys who have a salary on the roster. So if it's not Pritchard, I think you'd need all 6 of those guys to reach $13 million. And with Pritchard, you'd need 4 more of them to reach $13 million. So long story short, that's not happening. We're not trading 5 or 6 bench guys for 1 bench guy. Isaiah Stewart, again, he'd be a nice role player. He's not a star. We're not gutting our entire bench for 1 guy that's,
especially the way they've been
a
playing.
role player. Yeah, especially the way they've been playing.
Like,
and again, I wouldn't even give up even if the money did work. Like, I don't know that I'd even want to give up Hauser or Pritchard just for Stewart right now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's an overreaction how well these guys are playing. But again, I think the point is, Celtics fans, it's going to be harder than you think to acquire a meaningful player, and to have to do it for a guy like that with matching salary. Like I said, I promise you, I will do the legwork. I will get you a full list of targets who are acquirable with that $6.2 million trade exception. Isaiah Stewart, unfortunately, not one of them. I don't think we're going to do a trade where we're gutting the entire bench. Again, if it's a guy who's almost a pseudo star that we think would be the 7th guy to go with our top 6 and is just a perfect fit, that might be a different story. But the bench has been great. There's no reason to do this.
Yeah, everyone keeps kind of saying that we're going to be involved in like some trade. I don't really know. Like, I just don't.
I don't either. Yeah.
With the pieces you have to put together, I'm not really sure that anything's worth it. I think that the team is playing well. It's gelling well. There's something to be said for like chemistry on a team. I think this team has chemistry in spades. I don't really think that there's a whole lot. And again, obviously, if something's out, I'm not opposed to any trade. I'm just saying, like, nothing really sticks out to me as a huge need right now, especially if Kate is going to keep playing the way that he is. Obviously, he might be playing a little bit above what he is, so water may eventually find its level and he might come down, or he might just continue to be a little bit of a better player than we imagined he was going to be. So
definitely, I
don't necessarily see anything that jumps out to me as like a glaring need worth getting rid of. I would say even beyond just that initial 8 that always plays. So that includes Al, Hauser, and Pritchard. I don't really see a need to really get rid of anyone in that group.
And again, Hauser makes, between this year and next year, he makes not even $2 million a year, which in NBA money, that's basically free. So it's like not even
we should have won the in-season tournament for Hauser. What the hell?
I know, right?
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize his contract was that low.
He signed him. Another great under-the-radar move by Brad. He signed him a couple years ago to, I think, a 4-year deal. I think he turned him from a 2-way to a full-time guy and signed him to a 4-year deal at like $2 million a year, not even, which now, again, is probably one of the best bargains in the entire NBA.
Yeah,
so again, is Hauser the best player in the world? No, but he's a 7th man on a really damn good team. Not many teams have a better 7th guy on their roster, let alone one who's making, like I said, that in the NBA money, he's basically an intern. He's basically playing for free. Like, that's not even worth throwing his money in on a matching deal. Like, it doesn't even get you close anywhere. And then Pritchard, for what it's worth, if he's going to be a throw-in, which I don't think he's going to be the way he's playing, we also signed him to an extension just like Stewart. So if a team's acquiring him, they'd have to have that same poison pill in Pritchard's deal. Now, his extension isn't for nearly as much money as Stewart's, so it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
But again, the same issue. He's making $4 million this year, but I think it's up to 6 and then 7 and maybe like $8 million a year by the end of the deal. So it's going to be a little more. Teams just don't want to pay more than like. It just makes it look like they're losing the deal. So again, unless a team is like really in love with Peyton Pritchard, I just think, again, a lot of this stuff is people just kind of looking at things and saying, oh, we could do this, we could do that. I just don't see it. Like I said, again, I think if the Celtics acquire someone at this point, most realistically, it's going to be maybe some guy who's going to become our 9th or 10th man with either that TPE or a buyout guy. But other than that, and I did see the Grizzlies just waived Kenny Lofton Jr., the big boy. So
he's chalky.
He's chalky, and that's the kind of guy. If we're looking for a little backup big depth, he's had some nice moments for the Grizzlies. So he's a guy we can play in the NBA.
A guy that's got cut from like the worst team in the league.
Well, they're playing like the worst team, but the problem is that they have so many guys injured. They actually have a deep roster with a lot of good players, so he was just kind of the odd man out because they had to activate Ja. So, I mean, I don't think that's actually indicative of the roster. If you look up and down the roster, they have really good players. They just couldn't keep him. But no, I mean, he's just a name. But again, my point is more like that's the kind of guy that the Celtics, if we're adding someone, it's going to be someone like that another team gets rid of.
I said that from the start that I feel like the buyout market is where we're going to ask for. We're not going to. I don't think we're going to trade for somebody. And I know that Shams was saying that we are. Scal said today too. He's like, "Oh, they're not done making moves." It's like, shut the fuck up, Scal. Like
they're not. But it's not going to be like a move that to casual fans moves the needle in any way.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So.
Well,
I mean, again, I
that's
trust
good.
Brad.
That's
I think he'll make a good move, and it could be something that helps us. But I don't think it's going to be someone who's better than our top 6, 7, 8 guys.
All right. Well, no, that's a great explanation though on how that trade works. Because I do think a lot of people do just kind of check out Sports Tracks, which not knocking that. That's what I would do. But
great site.
It's not going to. It's not going to explain it that way. So yeah, it looks like
data's
Isaiah
nothing without
Stewart.
Context.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we have the Clippers moving on to the Clippers on Saturday, matinee game, 3:30 for us, 12:30 there. All right, I'm going to challenge you again to give us just a quick breakdown of the Clippers. We all know they have that. They have a star in Daniel Tice, but what else?
Yes.
What else should we look out for?
Yeah, I mean, stop Tice, win the game is pretty much that simple. No, the Clippers, honestly, Scal and Drew were talking about it a little bit tonight. They really have figured things out. I mentioned earlier, 9 straight wins, and they look like a real team. Kawhi Leonard is playing almost like the best version of himself. James Harden, he's still in the honeymoon period, so we'll see how it plays out. But at least for now, he's doing all the right things, saying all the right things. He's trying on defense. He's been clutch as hell. So for right now, with Westbrook on the bench, these 3 guys are fitting really well. Westbrook's coming in with that second unit, playing great for them. It's always been a little bit of a rivalry where kind of they were the 2 wings with Kawhi and PG. We had the young ones in Tatum and Brown, so I think we've always taken it personal. We've always played well against them. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, we'll have to watch for the injury report, see if Tatum's back for that game, see if Porzingis is back for that game. And again, a 12:30 game in LA, all bets are off. So I hope we show up to that one. But again, if you're going to have to play anyone at 12:30 in LA, at least they have James Harden is on their team. So I'm not sure
and it's a Saturday too.
Right.
So,
I'm not sure who that'll be worse for, but I'm not sure that you mentioned how tonight was like basketball nirvana. I'm not sure the first quarter of that Clippers Celtics games will resemble that. It might, because again, 2 really good teams that are playing really well, so hopefully we kind of get the best out of it. But just one of those things where it's like, why couldn't you just make this like a normal 8:30 game or something on a Saturday night? Like I don't know.
Speaking as someone who stayed up till 2 a.m. back-to-back nights recording a podcast, I'm not going to complain at all that game's going to be over nice and early for us. Having said that, that's it. We have made it through. I'd say this is probably the biggest test for the nightly recaps right now. I don't know if we have any other back-to-back West Coast games, but it's been fun. It's been good to run this with you here, Chud.
Definitely.
So again, Celtics to close it out, 144. I keep wanting to say 114. I don't know why.
Well, 144 is a lot.
Yeah.
Second highest scoring game of the season.
144 to 119. Beating the Kings on the second night of that back-to-back, moving to 21-6 on the season, which is a big win too because the Philly won too, so I think now we're a half game ahead of Philly again.
More than that, because they lost to the Bulls the other night.
I thought I saw that Philly, we would have been tied if we lost today with Philly.
No, Philly is 19-8. I don't know if that was before tonight or after. So
whatever. We
probably would have been a half game up maybe if we'd lost,
right.
or at least a game and a half up.
All right. Well, we still have best record in the East, and yeah, it was a fun night, fun game, great game, everything
in
you
the
want to
NBA,
see
in the whole NBA because the Timberwolves lost too.
In the whole NBA, look at that. Thank you, Philly. So yeah,
don't say that every night.
Great game, great night, great run, great back-to-back. Chuddy's Corner. Who else is staying up till 2 a.m. every night for you folks? So again, close it out. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Chuddy's Corner, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Doug_outs. Follow Chuddy at King Chuddy, and follow the page at Chuddy's Corner. And we will see you all again back here for a little Saturday matinee action. Chuddy, you take care now. So long.
Peace out, Chuddy ads.